Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. I'm excited today to be joined by Coach Casey Sommers from the Catholic University of America women's soccer program. Good to have my alma mater on the show again, this time on the ladies' side. So welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Well, it was funny. I was just looking at the roster. I guess it's last year's roster, obviously, still, but and it kind of mirrored my experience at Catholic. I think you have had 12 states represented or something like that last season, and that's the beauty of Catholic U is pulling folks from all over the country. But a lot of Division III schools are very regionally focused recruitment-wise, but because it's the Catholic University of America, you guys are a little bit broader. So talk to me a little bit about recruiting and where you tend to go to see players or find out about players or how it works on your end.
Yeah, sure. DC is definitely an attractive location for people all over the country, and we'll get a lot of interest from everywhere. I think we still do get the bulk of our students from like New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Kind of a sweet spot, I think, for this school is like from Boston, down to Virginia. We're fortunate, I think, with the sport of soccer that a lot of the best tournaments are actually on the East Coast, so I can typically use my money wisely and kind of players come this way. So I can hit tournaments like that. But I think a lot of kids go on their 8th grade school trip to DC, and it sparks an interest, and they want to come. So we'll get calls from the West Coast, and I think even in our next class coming in, we'll represent a little more maybe of the Midwest and a little South. So I'm happy to pull kids from everywhere. I think it creates a good experience and kind of brings different energy and personalities to the team. I know our baseball coach here said, since our name of our school is Catholic University of America, he wants to have every state represented on that team. So we're trying.
Yeah, funny thing is, I think he was the baseball coach when I was there too. So,
Yeah.
So when do you usually start looking at players, start talking to players? What kind of year in their high school journey are they? When do kids start commit? What's kind of the timeline for you usually?
I typically start talking around sophomore year, but it definitely gets more serious and more focused for juniors. And I think a lot of it is sophomore year. I'm happy to watch players and talk about the school, but I think sometimes they're still trying to figure out what division they want, what they're looking for. So sometimes I definitely spend more of my time watching games with juniors. And right now with the rising seniors, I'm looking to kind of put out my offers pretty quickly, actually. I have 2 out, and then we have an ID clinic next month, and then hopefully we can invite some to campus, meet each other, see a game, and get those commitments so they can apply early action.
So you mentioned ID camps, and I think you're one of the few I've heard that's running one in season, which is good, which is great for players to be able to see a game and that sort of thing. How important are camps overall in your kind of recruitment portfolio, whether they're camps at Catholic or you work in other camps? How does that work?
Currently, I like to use my ID camp as an opportunity to identify the students who are like really serious in Catholic. So hopefully I've already seen them play a couple times, invite them to campus, get to meet some of the players, and it's an opportunity for them to also evaluate me and how I coach and what I'm doing and how they feel about the school. So we do full high school age group, so we'll obviously introduce some people, but it also gives me a chance I have 15 freshmen coming in this year, and I think 9 of them went to an ID clinic, so it kind of helped kind of solidify their interest in me. If I'm liking a recruit that's maybe from further away or I don't have an opportunity to see as much and they're attending like a regional ID camp or a Future 500 of something like that, there's some value in that for me to see them compete and play games. But I'm not working a ton of summer camps and going to other schools. So my ID clinic, yes, and then some regional based stuff, but primarily my recruiting is from tournaments and showcases.
Well, that's perfect then for my next question. What are those tournaments and showcases? Obviously, you mentioned that 95 corridor is your main main recruiting ground, but also the home of some really good tournaments. So what tournaments are kind of must-see TV on your list?
Yeah, I try to hit a lot of the ECNL stops. Jefferson Cup is a big one. Going up to PDA, New Jersey around Memorial Day is a big one. Bethesda Showcase. If I can get to WAG, sometimes it's tricky because we're in season, but I like to see what the kind of the local talent is in the DMV area. And heading down to Florida for any of the showcases around Disney and things like that.
Oh, well, you gotta get to Bradenton instead of Disney. Come on. We get an ECNL event and then obviously IMG Cup. So we'll get you down our way instead of Disney.
Okay.
But anyway. So whether it's at camp or whether it's watching a tournament game or anything like that, what's your kind of hierarchy of what you're looking for in a player, whether it's on the field or off the field attributes?
Yeah, there's a few things I like to make note of, and as silly as it may sound, I love to try to identify how much someone just loves the game of soccer, because once you get into school, you're playing quite a bit and you're around those people, and I want those 2 hours of your day to be the best part of your day. So the kids who are hungry to play, and it's not just I've been playing for 14 years and now this is the next step. So I look for kind of the uncoachables, that good body language, aggressive style of play, physicality, players who want the ball, because I want players who want to win. So even if you're playing right fullback and the ball's up left forward, like how are you making, putting your players in a better place? So even if I can show up to a game early, it doesn't always happen because you're running field to field. I'll try to watch how you engage with your teammates or your coach, or how you're preparing for that. Specifically goalkeepers, because sometimes you don't know if they're going to get much action in a game, so I'll definitely go watch them warm up and try to watch their touches and things like that. But soccer IQ for sure, like I said, the movement off the ball and first touch, and hopefully that hunger for the game.
Okay, so the always the difficult part, and I know specifically for Catholic University, having given them a lot of my money over the years. Let's talk finances a little bit. Obviously, no athletic money, but what's the academic money look like these days, or other scholarships and grants look like these days at Catholic? What is a typical student athlete going to be walking into?
A typical merit-based, the range for merit-based aid is from like 17 to 24,000, and then kind of 25 to 28, 29 would be reserved for potentially like the honors program, which you can, find out later after the admissions process if you get a little more. You can get $4,000 a year for the parish scholarship if you check that box and you're in a parish. If you're a legacy student, maybe you have a brother or sister in school, you can get another $1,000. Otherwise, the financial aid FAFSA process would be the same as any other school.
Okay. Well, let's talk more about the school itself, because I'm sure you still get it on the recruiting trail. I get it when people ask me where I went to school and I tell them Catholic U, they think, oh, you mean Georgetown, because it's in D.C., right? No, that's not it. Oh, Notre Dame? No, that's not it either. But, you can go on the website. I mean, I can tell you what I loved about Catholic, but what do you think are some of the most attractive parts about Catholic University that maybe you're not going to find out just by clicking through the website?
Well, it's crazy how many people I bring to campus who live not that far away and don't even realize how big our campus is or its location, where I think we have the best of both worlds with like kind of a traditional campus setting, with the access to all the benefits of a city school. And between my interview 2 years ago and what people I know say now, like there's just this welcoming feeling like across the board with the people you meet and the sense of community with the school. And I think that's part because of the size of the school. And, you can walk across campus and definitely see people but you can still find those spots where you can not do that. So I think it's a nice mix. And with our athletic department making up such a large part of the student body, I think it's around 34% right now. the relationships with the other sports. And like you mentioned, I'm sitting here in the Dufour Center, like everyone just supports everyone, and you can really feel it when you're here. And that's why I love, to bring people on campus whenever I can. That pretty much seals the deal. when you see Carlini Field and meet the team, that's kind of it.
Yeah, I married a Catholic University volleyball player, and so
Nice.
I can attest to that. But the nugget I always like to give people is the second largest landowner in the District of Columbia, besides the federal government, is Catholic University. So you really do get that campus feel, even though you're in a city environment. It's great, love it. So Catholic is a very good academic school, and so there are challenges in academics. How do student athletes these days really balance their commitments in the classroom versus on the soccer field? And being a D3 school, how does the sport help that process so that students really are student first?
Yeah, I think in general, I think student athletes are coming into college almost more prepared for that because of the schedule that they've potentially already had playing travel soccer and things like that. We have a great program here called Cardinal Success, where you kind of have a team of mentors between myself, my assistant, the dean of your class, the dean of if you have already declared a major, plus your professors of that semester, and we can kind of communicate, keep an eye on how you're doing. If potentially you need a tutor, or let's say you're doing really well, maybe we can say, hey, this other student maybe could use your help. Within the team itself, they really support each other, and the upperclassmen will hold on to books and see if a freshman needs it, that next year. And being a fall sport, I think we have some bonuses where you come to this campus early, and they can kind of the upperclassmen can show the freshmen the ropes and where the buildings are, and just get them a little more situated before it gets a little more challenging. But it's been an interesting 2 years in that, like, the college students went from kind of virtual learning back to the class, and that's been an interesting adjustment on time because they have to factor in like travel and actually physically being somewhere. And I think we were all a little surprised about how challenging the switch back to what we all thought was normal, because for some students, their freshman year was just virtual. But there's just a great support and network here to get it done. For my team in particular, I'm always stressing it's academics first. So if you have to leave practice early or come a little late, or let's say you have a big test and your mind is just elsewhere, that's the priority for the day. You're not going to be helpful at practice, so just go take care of that class and come. The soccer team is not going anywhere, so come back when you're feeling good, and the kids know that, so they balance their time well.
That's great. So can you walk me through what a typical, I know there's no such thing as a typical week, but a typical week during the season looks like with regards to practice times, class times, leaving for games, that sort of thing? What should someone expect when they come in?
Yeah, I think I just finished our schedule this morning, actually. A typical week for us is a Monday morning practice. We start around 6:15 in the morning. It will end around 8. Most of the students have class start between 9:10 and 9:40, and go through till the afternoon. Some of the majors have some night classes here and there. Tuesday again, morning practice. Wednesday is typically a game day, so our students will have class between like 8 and they try to get out around 1:30 so that we can get ready for our game. Thursday is a recovery day, so we'll meet later in the afternoon around 4:35, and it could be a variety of things, whether it's film or a pool session or yoga or light jog, just individual meetings. Friday, we're back in the morning, and Saturday is a game day, and then Sunday we have off. And I think one of the fun things with the Landmark Conference is the men and women's conference games are double headers. So while we don't travel together, we are always able to kind of watch a half of each other play, which is nice.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team and that sort of thing. So is there a set roster size that you like to try to get to each year?
I'll say yes, but I haven't gotten there yet. So we're on the larger side right now. I have 34 players. The classes are a little. Eventually, we're trying to get it down, yeah, between 27 and 30, around 6 to 8 per class, I would say.
Okay. And in terms of your staff, how big is your staff? What roles does everybody play? And is there other support staff in the athletic department besides just, assistant coaches?
Sure. This fall coming up, I'll have 2 assistants. One is my graduate assistant, and one is my former GA, who's now just returning to be on staff, and she specializes with goalkeepers. I work very closely with our athletic training staff. Shout out Yewa, she's great. So I kind of just consider her another member of the coaching staff, and making sure we have extra eyes and ears on the student athletes. So I have 2 assistants this year. Last year I had 3, so it could potentially change, but definitely enough attention for the size group that we have. We have great support from our SWA, who's also the lacrosse coach, and Jamie Walls does academics, compliance, and eligibility. So I bother her quite a bit right now about getting kids moved in earlys and setting up meal plans and things like that. But they're also just a great resource for the players to reach out to for anything.
No, that's great. Well, how would you describe your style of coaching and the team style of play these days?
To the extent that I can, I like the game to teach the game, essentially. So during training, I'll try to create scenarios where they'll simulate real game situations so that we can kind of talk through it, problem solve. I want the players to think so that when we're in a game, they're not feeling overwhelmed or pressure. Everything will be familiar and comfortable. So hopefully I get my talking and instruction out during practice, because in a game I'm a little more reserved in that, and hopefully can just cheer in those moments and support and make changes where I need to. I'm not shouting pass now, run now, things like that. So the encouragement for me is thinking possession with a purpose. I like to get forward. I hope we can score a bunch of goals next year. I keep the goalkeepers pretty close with the field players. All of our goalkeepers are really good with their feet, and that's part of their training. They'll spend some time, because I want them to be that 11th field player that we can play out of, and not just in a panic situation. So I'm looking for thinkers, and hopefully practice simulates a situation where they have to think and be creative.
Okay, that's great. In practice or in games, do you guys, use any sort of technology or anything like that to help in the coaching and training process?
Very little. Occasionally we film a practice. We'll film inter-squad scrimmages. If we're working on some specific, if someone wants to work on their shooting form or set pieces, we'll bring out an iPad for that, but we don't have any other technology.
Okay, just wondering. Now, you're getting ready for the fall, but in terms of the non-traditional quote-unquote season, the spring, what does that off-season program look like typically for you guys?
Yeah, we just had an awesome non-traditional season. It was so great to actually have one, because it's been, I think, it's been a while at least. So I like to use it as an opportunity to work on the individual and let them know what I hope to see from them in the fall. Maybe it's less game preparation and more player development, but also it gives us an opportunity to kind of identify new leaders and a new voice and personality for the team going forward, and an opportunity for the seniors, or just leadership in general, to kind of step up and have a voice. And this particular last year, it was great for me to just form stronger bonds with the team, because this is still going to be just my second season, fall season with the group. So our non-traditional season was 4 weeks long. We did 3 or 4 practices a week. We were in the weight room twice a week. So we basically went from March to right before Easter. We had 2 scrimmages against Mary Washington and Randolph-Macon. Sorry, forgot for a minute. And we also had leadership meetings. Once a week we made a kind of a committee. We had 3 representatives from each class, and we just started talking about how you don't have to be like a captain to lead, and good teams have a couple captains and great teams have leaders everywhere. So just kind of trying to develop that skill set.
No, I like that a lot. Well, we've talked about a lot of different things. I always like to end these kind of with the same question: is that what didn't we cover? What else do you want to talk about? Whether it's about the school, about the program, about soccer, anything. This is your chance.
Well, for whatever student athletes watching this, I hope you can find a way to kind of enjoy your recruiting experience. Make sure you make it your own, and don't judge yourself to how quickly or slow like your teammates are doing it. Some may commit before you, but you'll find a place that's right for you. And remember, to be an advocate for yourself, this is a time where you can brag about yourself and make that film and update coaches, and keep reaching out until you get that yes or no thanks email. And you can, more than half the recruiting process is really you putting yourself out there, because the coach won't know you exist unless you gotta introduce yourself or know that you're interested in the school. So, do your homework, find those schools that have the majors, go visit as many campuses as you can to get that feel. I think, like I said, Catholic is a wonderful place. We have great facilities, a great conference that's even growing in 2023. So it's going to be, even more exciting. And good luck to everyone.
All right, thanks, Coach. I appreciate it, and we really wish you the best of luck in the fall. Hopefully, I'll be able to get up there and to the old stomping grounds and see some games. But in the meantime, go win the landmark and get to the tournament.
Yeah, you have to get. Yeah, get your girls
for
up
sure.
here for a
All
game.
right, thanks, Coach. Likewise.